Good afternoon, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest opposition preview show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Now, before I do welcome on my very special guest, here's a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, after a thriller at the Emirates, where we actually took the lead through Philip Billing after 11 seconds, wasn't it? We do have the visit from Liverpool, of course, a side who earlier on in the season kind of thrashed us quite convincingly themselves. Yes, of course, I was there for that 9-0 defeat at Anfield. We'll have to discuss it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We'll have to discuss it. To preview the game, though, we welcome on a guest from one of the biggest Liverpool channels on the internet. It is a pleasure to welcome on Alex from the Cop TV. Good afternoon, Alex. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me, Craig. It's important that we do these match previews for both channels. I think it's it's shining a light on the good work that you're doing, mate. So pleasure to be on, mate. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, and a pleasure to have you on the show. So, we will we will discuss Liverpool's season, but I think let's get it out the way. That game at Anfield back in August under Scott Parker. Of course, we'd just been beaten by Arsenal and Manchester City. Two teams, of course, we've just been beaten by again, and you demolished us.
Yeah, I was at the game, mate. The goals just kept flying in, didn't they? It was a nice summer's day. It was, it was towards the end of summer, in fairness. But I've just watched the highlights again from that game, and the goals are brilliant. You've got Harvey Elliott, who I think scored his first Premier League goal in that game. Luis Diaz, who we have missed so badly, has scored 2. I think Bobby scored 2. I think Salah might have scored 1. I think Virgil scored 1.
Mm-hmm.
Carvalho definitely scored as well. So yeah, I mean, we wanted 10, if I'm honest, just so we could clear the record and there'd be no doubt about it. But listen, we almost did that again on Sunday.
Well, yep, we will come to that as well. And actually, you could well have easily got 10 because if I'm right in thinking, Salah had a fantastic chance. So didn't he have a penalty as well? I'm trying to think. To be honest, there were so many goals that I kind of tried to phase them all out.
Yeah, no, it was a heavy day for you guys, and I think just one of those days for Liverpool where everything we touched turned to goal. Funnily enough, after the game when I did my fan cams, Calvin Harris, an example, walked past me because they were in Virgil van Dijk's box that day.
Yeah.
And I think they were going to play Creamfields after. So it was just a great day all round. It was a beautiful day, man. Not for you, obviously.
No.
Big trip up to Anfield, a lot of hours on the road. But listen, Bournemouth have always showed up really well when they've come to Anfield, and you've come really close in a few games. So it was quite rare actually that we we beat any team by that many goals. But no, it was just an incredible day. It really was.
Do you think, though, and one of the criticisms, and when I do look back at that game, and a criticism of Scott Parker was that he just sat too deep and he allowed Liverpool just too much time. You know, okay, stand a yard off the man if you've got Mo Salah running at you, but at the same time, don't give him too much space because I think Liverpool just picks us off with ease.
Yeah, and I think that was Scott Parker's last game, wasn't it? That one.
It was, yes.
Yeah, and he obviously lost big time last night as well with Club Brugge in the Champions League, and looks like he's probably going to lose his job again. So maybe if Gary O'Neill was in charge at the time and you had that kind of new manager bounce, maybe it definitely wouldn't have been 9-0. There's no way. And we obviously like Gary O'Neill through his coaching work at Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I think you've actually got a really good manager there, mate. Obviously, you're gonna speak on him as well. There's been ups and downs this season for you, but to go 2-0 up away at the Emirates
Yes.
and hold on for so long, you have to get credit for that. That's not something that happens all the time. And I think if you give him that time, if you give him a little bit more budget, and if you keep the experienced players around, I do think Bournemouth could easily stay up this season. But again, it's having that luck on the day and not conceding 9 goals, I guess.
So, of course, Gary O'Neill, former coach at Liverpool. What was his role like? Because he has come under a lot of criticism from the Bournemouth fans. How involved did he get in the manager's whole philosophy?
Do you know what? I don't think he was there for that long. I think he joined, if I'm not mistaken, 2021 or late
Yeah.
2020. So there's only so much you can involve yourself with, really, if you're only at
Mhm.
the club for a few months. But obviously, he got a really good opportunity to go and kind of prove himself as the manager somewhere else.
Yeah.
Listen, he's obviously been with Klopp at the AXA. He's obviously heard things that Klopp has said. So,
Mhm.
you know, when, for example, Arteta was working with Pep, he's obviously going to pick up certain things and take them along and mold them into his own format of coaching. So, yeah, listen, he might have picked up a few bits and bobs, but I'm pretty sure that managers these days like to have their own identity and not really lean on, you know, former jobs or former managers that they've worked with. So, and again, looking from the outside, I don't think Bournemouth have necessarily covered themselves in disgrace at all this season. They've been quite unlucky. So you might be able to tell me different, but yeah, I guess the stuff that he has learned from Klopp, if you want to say that, I guess he'll definitely remember and use in the future.
Now, I made a prediction at the start of the season, and I predicted that Liverpool would win the league.
So
Personally, I
did I.
thought you made some really good signings, some sensible signings. Um, it just doesn't seem to have happened. But in the last 5 games, you are unbeaten in the Premier League, and it looks like, and of course, do mention that Manchester United game, which I'm sure everybody connected with Liverpool Football Club absolutely enjoyed, absolutely loved. Um, but it looks like the Liverpool of old have
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah, 5 clean sheets in a row, 4 wins in
Mhm.
5. And you're talking about clean sheets in a Merseyside derby. You're talking about a clean sheet away at Newcastle, and obviously at home to Manchester United. So, you know, in answer to your question, everyone pretty much thought that after the monumental season that Liverpool had last year, that we could go one more and win the league again. But it didn't. It hasn't happened, and it won't happen this season. But yeah, in terms of form, if you're looking at form teams right now,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to play Liverpool right now if I was an opposition team. So it's one of those where it would be very typical for Liverpool to now lose this game after having such a good run of form and maybe get a bit complacent. But no, from a Liverpool standpoint, we've got to make sure that pretty much every game, if it's not 3 points, you're looking at least an average of just over 2 points per game until the end of the season to guarantee that top 4 spot. And I think if you'd asked us that at the start of the season, it probably would have been seen as a disappointment.
Yeah.
But considering the last 3 to 4 months that Liverpool have had, going into the business end, if you wanted the team to turn up at a specific point in the season, it would be around March, wouldn't it? Mid-March, late
Mhm.
February, going into April, May, which is really the business end. So Um, Listen, most Liverpool fans are hopeful that we can go on now and finish in the top four, but these are the type of games you have to win. And we found it fairly difficult in the past going down to Bournemouth. I remember being 3-0 up there, losing 4-3.
Yep.
I remember Salah having a good day there. I remember Coutinho having a good day there, but it's never an easy game.
Mhm.
And the atmosphere that you guys create in that stadium is fantastic. And I think Bournemouth, as opposed to your teams like Stoke and Burnley and and these kind of guys that people are quite happy to see the back of, I don't think there's many people. And again, you'd have to ask them all. But if you ask the fan from every team in the Prem, would they really want to see Bournemouth go down? I don't think they'd say that. I don't think they say that because Bournemouth do the right thing. And if you look at the similarities between Eddie Howe's tenure and Klopp, it's very similar in the way that they've both come in and had to prove something, and they've both stayed in the job for a long time. So, you saw the reception Eddie Howe got when he came back to Bournemouth the other week. He was almost crying. So when
Mhm.
that kind of stuff happens, you look at the club and go, I don't want them to go down. They're a good club. So, yeah, listen, hopefully Bournemouth stay up this season for sure.
Would you be happy seeing Everton go?
Absolutely. Get them down. Get them, get them gone. 100%. And listen, this is why I said earlier, I do think you'll stay up because I think
Mhm.
you've been there and done it in terms of
Yeah.
knowing how to stick around when it comes to the business end of the season. Whereas Everton, although they did it last year,
Mhm.
making comparisons, I think they can go down fairly easily. But again, we're hoping that as Liverpool fans, we're hoping that if it is anyone that has to stay up, Bournemouth
Yeah.
stay up, Everton go down.
So, would you miss Everton if they
No.
did go down, though? Because surely that rivalry, you know, just across the park.
Would I miss them? No. Maybe after 3 or 4 years, you'd want the
Mhm.
derby back, but I'm quite
Yeah.
happy to not see them or not play them for at least 2 years, mate. There's no way any Liverpool fan would miss them. Bitter
Well,
people, them.
hopefully, fingers crossed, we stay up and send them down because
Hopefully.
we've got them last game of the season, so we could
Ooh,
be
could
their
be a big
last
one, mate.
Premier League game
Could
for
be a
some time.
massive one. Well,
Yeah.
listen, let's hope. You can
Yeah.
only hope, right? Hey, Gus, we want them to go down, don't we, Gus? Hey? Yeah, he's nodding.
Yeah. So, of course, good signing in Darwin Núñez. He did take a little while to get off the ground, but do you think that Liverpool fans are warming to him now?
I don't like the use of the word now because that would presume that people like
Mhm.
myself haven't been supporting him the whole
Yeah.
time that he's been at the club. I've always said, and you can find the tweets, you can find the videos, that this
Mhm.
is a guy that we're really going to look at as being the main man, really, when it comes to the next 2 to 4 seasons in terms of scoring loads of goals. I think he's on 14 for the season. I think he's got 8 or 9 assists, which actually, once you look at it, it's not bad at all for your first season. And we've still got 15 odd games to go. So Darwin Núñez, for me, is such a danger. No matter who's in front of him, whether it's Real Madrid defenders or anyone in the league, I think he's so dangerous when he gets a bit of space in behind, and he also gets the right service. And I love him, mate. I mean, we can't stop singing Nunes. I mean, it's not really a song. We have actually got a song for him, which I'd have to find. It's only just kind of been thought of this week, but he is some player, mate, and I just can't wait to see what else he does for Liverpool because I think he learnt from his headbutt against Crystal Palace. I was at that game, couldn't really believe what I'd seen. And then listen, he still scored on his debut. He still scored against Arsenal. He still scored against Man City this season. He still scored 2 against Man United. He scored massive goals in the Champions League against Real Madrid. Um, Ajax away. The list goes on, really. So I'm a massive fan of his, mate. And unfortunately for everyone else, he's only getting better. He's only going to continue to sharpen up his finishing tools, continue to, because that's all that I've wanted. It's like, that there's a gem there,
Yeah.
but it's just about, can this guy just sharpen up a couple of aspects of his game? And by the time that happens, which can take 6 months, it can take a year, it can take a really massive pre-season for him to actually get that under his belt. So yeah, I'm just hoping that next year we're looking at, because I think he'll get 20 plus in all comps this season. He's already on 14. He should get 6 more. Um, but I think we could genuinely be looking at a 30 plus in all comps next season, which that's why you pay the big money. That's why you bring these guys in, and especially with Bobby Firmino leaving, there's going to
Yeah.
now be more onus on him. I mean, we could even give him the number 9 shirt if he wanted it
Mhm.
in the summer. So again, it's there's a lot to look forward to with that boy.
And Mo's definitely back after that Manchester
Yeah.
United game, isn't he?
Well, this is the thing. Like, people say he's back. He's the only player in the last 6
Mhm.
seasons to score 20 plus goals in all
Yeah.
comps. So he's never gone away. Really,
No.
I know. The thing is, because his level of success is so high, he's almost a victim of it sometimes. Of
Yeah.
course, there was a period where we were asking for him to be dropped, and that's the same with any player. It's not just Mo Salah, by the way. If Alisson's really bad, which he has been, making individual mistakes in the last season, then he deserves to have a break. But Salah just keeps shutting people up, including myself.
Mhm.
He genuinely, the numbers that he's putting up. Well, listen, he's our highest ever Premier League goal scorer now,
Yeah.
ever. So you have to put respect on this guy's name, and I think he's got 15 assists in the season in all comps as well. So this season, more than any, he's actually, instead of maybe being really selfish and greedy, which you want, by the way, that's what he
Yeah.
needs to be. He's actually opened up his body more and looked for the assists, which again can only be a good thing. And he signed the big deal. There was talk about after he signed it that, you know how it's like when people sign a big deal, naturally their determination and desire can maybe slope off a little bit. We've seen it with Aubameyang, we've seen it with a few other players, but really and truly, he keeps delivering. He keeps scoring goals in big moments as well. And long may it continue for us Liverpool fans, because, and again, I'll say it, he's up there with the Gerrards, the Dalglishes, if I'm
Mhm.
honest, in terms of output now. So, oh God, every week that he scores, it just kind of shuts more people up, which is great, really.
Let's go to have a look at the side of Liverpool, which has surprised me this season because you have had some quite heavy defeats
Yeah,
against the likes of Brighton, Wolves, Brentford, 3-1 defeat
yeah,
there,
massive.
and also Nottingham Forest got their first win against you, which was a complete and utter shock after
Yeah,
what you did to us. Um,
yeah.
why have Liverpool conceded so many goals in those sort of games when defensively you've always looked quite tight?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think sometimes there's just no confidence in the team, and I think those results that you mentioned, they all came within probably a month of each other. So you could tell.
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool never ever play well in January. All of these things, I'm pretty sure, happen in January and Feb. So
Mhm.
that's something I actually can't explain, because when you look at the Brentford game in particular, Virgil and Konate both played in that one. Um, the Wolves one was probably, as well as the Brighton one, up there with some of the worst performances I've ever seen from Liverpool.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that hopefully those times are over, and we've really picked up the momentum. We've got a lot more confidence in those times, but I have to put it down to a lack of confidence, and also the other team kind of taking advantage on that lack of confidence. They could see that Liverpool weren't in the best moment, and to be fair to them, they absolutely punished us, which is what you have to do in the Premier League. So, it was an awful era for Liverpool, that kind of 4 to 6 weeks. But as I said, hopefully we're on the back of that now, and we go forward in a much better way.
I've mentioned it in previous two previews, also with Turkish on AFTV, that we historically we have always struggled when we do defend too deep and with five at the back. However, against Arsenal, that did change a little bit. If we was to go to a 4-4-1-1 formation and really go for the juggler like Eddie Howe used to,
Mm.
could we get success against Liverpool, do you feel? Because again, at Anfield, like I say, we sat too deep, we just gave you too much respect, and you just picked us off with ease.
I think the interesting thing to note is how quickly you started against Arsenal. I mean, eight
Yeah.
seconds in, you scored, and then you had something to build on. And it's not as if you said, right, because it would have been very difficult for you to go, right, 8 seconds in, let's just park the
Mhm.
bus for 95 minutes.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. But the
Mhm.
fact that you actually went for it again and scored another one, a great header as well, great cross in, by the way, that to me shows that there's something here about Brighton that you've got to be wary of. I think Philip Billing has had a good season. He's a bit of a target man. He can play the ball into the out and out number 9. And he can cause you problems. Listen, he scored a goal against one of the best centre-back partnerships in the league after 8 seconds. So you can't take that lightly. Now, if Bournemouth do really go for it against Liverpool, there's an argument to say that that works a little bit better for us because that kind of more open, expansive play can be got at. I think there's holes to be kind of shot at. But again, Bournemouth aren't any mugs. Like, we can't go there and think that this is going to be some walkover, because it just isn't. And if we do come away with a win, listen, every game's so important in the Premier League, as you know, but if we can come away with a win for this one, going into that international break, then we're set up really nicely to go away at the Etihad on the first game after the break. So Liverpool actually, so we play Bournemouth Saturday lunchtime. We then go to Real Madrid away on Wednesday, and then we don't have a game for 17 days.
Yeah.
So maybe that's come at the wrong time for Liverpool. We would have preferred in this kind of vein of form to be playing once every 3 or 4 days. So I guess we'll see how the break impacts us. But if Bournemouth come and play, then that's your fans want to see that, and there's an argument that our fans would want to see that as well.
And with the form that you're in, what looked quite a way away a while back looks a lot closer now, which is Champions League qualification. And I'm sure that is the bare minimum for Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's no way with the players, the quality that we've got. And again, I would have said this at the start of the season, and I'd back it now. There was a point when I didn't think we'd get top 4 about a month ago. But I think when you look at the quality that we've got, the experience, the know-how, I would put this season down, if we do finish, let's say we finish 4th, which again, compared to last year, would be a disappointing campaign. But let's say we do finish 4th, then I don't think there's any stress in terms of, okay, no worries, that was a little blip. Let's go again. We rebuild in the summer. We try and bring at least 2 or 3 midfielders into the club. Obviously, Jude Bellingham is no surprise. We know every week we talk about him. But if we do finish in the top 4, I don't think it's as big a deal as people would maybe think, because again, the quality that we've got, the experience, the manager, we should be finishing at least 4th, at least every season. But again, I don't think fans would necessarily hound the players out, hound the manager if we did finish 4th. It's an opportunity to go again in the summer and make sure that we finish a lot higher than 4th next year.
I think it was crazy when I saw, some statistics and some odds on the next manager to be sacked. And this was only from a month ago. Gary O'Neill was the favourite. David Moyes was second favourite. And then Jurgen was third after all he's done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with these odds and these gambling companies, I mean, they've got to make their money. But if you ask Liverpool fans, then that was never an option, mate. As you know, we don't necessarily flip-flap between managers. We like to, especially when you've got Jurgen Klopp. Why would you want to? Exactly. And I've always said he's the man. If there is one man to turn this around, who's been there and done it, then it's him. A lot of people saying, "Oh, 7th season syndrome." They can say all that, but he will still be there next season and the season after. So whether people like that or not is up to them. But I understand why they put him maybe 3rd in the list to be the next sacked, but it's never going to happen. That never. It's just a little. I guess it's to make people bet, to put a couple of big names in that list.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest, I would have been completely and utterly shocked, and I'm sure
mate, I would have been crying my eyes out like a little baby. No, that could never have happened, mate. No way. And he's staying until 2026, so there's a good 2.5 years left of him. And then his wife might, because Ula, his wife, she was the one that said last summer when he signed his new deal, because they sit down on the table, he said, "What should we do?" And she said, "Well, I can't imagine you leaving now. You've still got work to do." So who knows? In 2.5 years' time, they might sit down again, and she might say, "Well, can't leave now." So I don't know. We're happy for that to continue.
Yeah, he seems to enjoy it at Anfield.
Oh, he loves
That's
it,
the main thing.
He loves it. Honestly, the love he gets from us. I mean, you even saw it. The attitude that he's got now. We beat Man U 7-0. Everyone's shouting at him to do the fist pumps to the cop, and he said, "No, we keep going. We do the fist pumps when we've done something, but we keep going." And I think that attitude, unbelievable, mate. And that's why he is who he is and why he is where he is, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And, hopefully, fingers crossed, next season, and I'm sure he will do. I think without a shadow of a doubt, there's always, with a team like Liverpool, we've seen it with Chelsea as well. We've seen it with Manchester United. We see it with all the top teams.
Yeah.
Even Man City have been susceptible to it, where there is a season where it does go a little bit wrong. But off the back of that season, all the pieces are put together to make you even more successful. And I guess it's that failure that drives you on.
Yeah, and trust me, no one would be hurting more than Jurgen in those dark months that we had. So he knows what to do. He just needed a little bit of patience, and I think we're a very forgiving fan base when it comes to giving managers time. So again, there's no better person either thinking. And the thing is as well, it's like people saying, "Oh, Klopp out." And my answer to them people, and they weren't even Liverpool fans, by the way, it was more me getting baited by Robbie, to be honest,
Yeah.
every week on DR Sports. Well, when's it time to go? It can't carry on. That's what people want. They don't want him there because they know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
So when people are saying Klopp out, my question to them was, well, who would you, if you're a Liverpool fan, who would you want in? And no one could give me an answer that was remotely better than Jurgen Klopp. So, we let everyone else talk, but Jurgen Klopp, he does the talking with his results. And I think, yes, 5-2 against Real Madrid was a howler. It's the best performance I've ever seen from an away team at Anfield in my life.
Yeah.
But again, look at what happens a week later. We beat Manchester United 7-0. Tell me another manager that can bounce back like that. I'm not too sure there is many that are up to that caliber. So, listen, I know this is very much this might as well be the Cop TV with the way I'm going on, but that's how much belief I have in him, mate.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, not for every club, but I hope you find that with Gary O'Neill. I hope a lot of clubs do hold on to managers and give them time instead of just. That's why, in a way, I mean, I hate Chelsea, mate, more than anyone. But I was actually quite happy for Graham Potter last night.
Yeah.
At the end, he got a big hug from Todd Bowley. That's what it's about. Trust me, and we can make this happen. So that's the motto we've got anyway.
And that's how I've looked at Gary O'Neill, and I think, with time, he's still a manager who is learning. You look at Mikel Arteta, for example, and what he's done at Arsenal. We've seen so many videos of when Arsenal fans want Mikel Arteta out, and look at what he's doing now. So I guess if Gary O'Neill is given time, I think he will be a success. I think he will be a success.
And I think Bournemouth isn't a club that can necessarily afford to just keep sacking and going again and going back to square one. I think you find your man and you stick with him. Look at Eddie Howe. How long was he there? 10 years?
Yeah. Well, he did go to Burnley, but he did come back.
He came back, right? But
Yeah.
I think when you look at the longevity that he had, the trust that he had with those players, that isn't just built up over 6 to 8 months. That's years and years and years.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said earlier, mate, I think Bournemouth are a great club who do the right things, and I hope for your sake that they do keep hold of him. And if he keeps you up this season, he needs a lot of praise for that because he was and Bournemouth were maybe the first on the list of people's list of teams that would go down this year. So I think he needs massive credit. Listen, the job's not done yet. He's got to keep them up, but I've seen enough signs to tell me that is a team too good to go down. If I'm honest.
Well, I hope you're right, Alex. And fingers crossed we can start moving up that table. We've made some good signings, I think, in this January window. And, I think it's going to be tight, but I think we might just do it. Just hoping. But before we do our predictions, do tell everybody about the COP TV and where they can find you.
Yeah, so the COP TV is the voice of football's most famous stand. I'm based in Liverpool city centre right now, and it's been going for about 2.5 years now. And to be honest, it's what I've always wanted to do. It's my dream job, mate. To be honest, even when Liverpool aren't playing well, it's still a pleasure to cover these boys and live in the city and be a part of it. And yeah, the COP TV, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just at the COP TV. So pretty self-explanatory there. But listen, it's about being consistent, keeping a high level of quality of content going out. And as you know, mate, it's hard, especially when you're losing games as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate, mate. I'm very lucky to do this as a job. So yeah, long may it continue.
Well, the link is in the description and also in the title as well. So please do go and subscribe to the Cop TV, guys. We better do predictions. I'm hoping you're not going to say another 9-0
Definitely
because
not,
I
mate.
think I'll cry. But yeah, how do you think this is going to go?
Ooh, so I think a lot of this game depends on how both teams start. If
Mhm,
you guys start like you did at Arsenal the other day, then that's going to really wake us up. Traditionally, I have to say, Craig, Liverpool haven't fared all too well when it's been an early kickoff on a Saturday. So I hope that doesn't have an effect. I hope that there's enough time for the players to get settled. I'm pretty sure they'll be traveling down on Friday. I mean, it would make
mhm,
no sense for them to try and do that journey on a Saturday morning at 4 a.m. So I'd hope that the players get there on Friday, get a good night's sleep, and go into this game on the back of beating Man United 7-0 with a lot of confidence. So yeah, listen, I'm going to go for a Liverpool win only because of the kind of run that we've been on. Bournemouth can still hurt us. They could easily still score, even though we've kept 5 clean sheets in a row, as you've seen with Arsenal. So yeah, I'm going to go with a Liverpool win. I'll go with 3-1, but I do think Bournemouth score first, if
mhm.
that's what you want.
Well, I on the run up to this game, I started to earmark it, and I thought we're going to be after revenge for that game up at
Yeah.
Anfield. And I actually think we might get something. I think we might get something, but I don't think it'll be a win. And I think we'll probably push to a point. And I think maybe a 2-all draw.
2-2 draw. Okay.
Yeah, a 2-all
Okay.
draw. I think the players will be up for it, but I think Liverpool will be too strong in the attack. Um, Mo Salah, without a shout, will get one. And but I do think we'll score, and I think there will be some sort of. I guess it's happened in the past with teams when they've been beaten heavily. Um, they always seem to get a result against that same team following that. And as much as we take the mick out of Southampton, Southampton have done that.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah. And then they seem to have redeemed themselves against that same team. So I'm thinking we won't get the win, but I think a draw. I think it'll be an end-to-end exciting game, and I'm going to go for a 2-all.
It wouldn't surprise me if that did happen. So we'll see. We'll see.
One thing I do want to mention as well, just before we go, is something that's not necessarily positive, but the kickoff for this game, 12:30, the other end of the country.
Yeah.
Um,
That could
personally,
that could play a part. Could
yeah,
play a part.
but for fans,
Yeah.
it's not on really, is it?
No. I mean, I think this is one thing actually that that all fans of all clubs can agree on. I know that football's so, tribal at the minute, but I do genuinely believe that if there was some kind of meeting where all fans could agree on a fair price of ticket, the trains, they all have to be running for a start.
Yeah.
I mean, football is so important in this country. It gives so much money to the overall GDP, if you want to say that.
Hmm.
So I think you've got to make sure the fans are looked after. And I think sending Liverpool, I mean, Liverpool fans genuinely are going to have to leave at 3 or 4 a.m. to
Yeah.
get to that game for kickoff. This isn't so you can have a couple of hours knocking around before. This is for kickoff. It's what, is it
Mhm.
7, 8 hours this drive?
Probably, yeah, for probably about 6, on a really
6,
good run
7,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it takes 4, 4.5 to drive from Liverpool to London. So, add
Mhm,
on Brighton to that, you're looking at at least 6. So,
mhm.
kick off at half 12. You want to maybe get there for 11, minus 6 hours, plus a couple of breaks. You're looking at 7 hours. Mate, this is a 4 a.m. job. So, no, I agree with you. I think it is poor, really. I mean, but then again, we know the reasons. It's for TV.
Yeah.
So what do we expect if we want to watch this game? They're saying, or their argument would be, well, this is the only time it could have been on. Compared when you look at the other games that are going to be on TV on Saturday as well. So no, the whole system is an absolute disgrace, mate. It's a joke. How listen to this for a stat, Craig. 47% of all the Premier League games in this country, you can only watch 47% of them on TV. And by the way, that's not just on one channel. That's if you've got Sky, Amazon, and BT.
Yeah.
Right. And you can still only watch less than half. And you have to travel 7 hours on a Saturday morning just to get to a 12:30. Mate, it's a disgrace. And I think most fans would agree with me when I call out the Premier League like that.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. We've been sent, a couple of years back, we were sent to Huddersfield for this same time, and that's a
Disgusting, mate.
journey.
Well,
And
that's even more. That's 10 hours probably.
yeah, it's an awkward place to get to as well. And to make matters worse, any Liverpool fans watching this, do be aware that there is a lot of roadworks coming into Bournemouth on the Wessex Way.
That's what I
So
mean, mate. So there you
yeah,
go.
it's daft. It really is daft.
Mm.
But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. If enough fans and clubs can pull together, hopefully things will start to change.
Hopefully, we can hope, right?
Yeah, a 12:30 kickoff between, say, for example, Brentford and Crystal Palace. You can understand that, but not when it's two teams other ends of the country.
No, and I'll ask you the same question on the Cop TV in a minute.
Yeah, most definitely.
Have a different answer.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Well, thank you, Alex, for joining us. And
no worries
like
at all.
Alex does say, I am on the COP TV as well, so go and watch that video now. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries, fella. See you soon.
All right, see you soon. Take care, mate.
Take care, mate.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this show. Please remember to hit the like, the subscribe, the bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Please do also check out our previous shows. Of course, we had James from AFTV on recently. We also had Hugh from Manchester City's 1894 podcast. So, yeah, it was great to have a chat with them as well. Also, do check out our interviews that we've had. We've also had the likes of James Hayter, Harry Redknapp, Steve Fletcher's, of course, Steve Cook as well, Eddie Mitchell, many, many more as well. So do scroll through those, have a look, take your pick, have a watch and enjoy. Until the next video, though, up the cherries, and we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us.